Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial on my design and lettering. My name is Miri, and if you want to know how I made these two beautiful backgrounds for this quote, then you are in the right place. And let me tell you, it is so much easier than you maybe think. As supplies, I used this Canson XL watercolor paper, my White Nights watercolors, and a Princeton art brush in the size 12 and the size 6. And of course, 2 jars of water. For the first color splash background, I mixed some muted reddish and purple tones. And to mute them down, I mixed the main color that I wanted with the color that is placed in the opposite direction of the color wheel. Like in my case, I used carmine and muted it with a tiny bit of green. For the purple, I mixed some carmine and green with violet. I really love to mix and play with colors because there's so much variation when you mix them yourself, and yeah, you get surprised every time. For some pastel values, I mixed some white in one of the reddish tones, in one of the purple ones, and the beige one. So let's get started. I removed the paper from the block and taped it down. And now the magic begins. The sole part to create this beautiful splash background is to lay down a puddle of water. And then you tap, 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 tappity tap it into place. And normally with watercolor paintings, you don't want to have large water puddles on the paper because it will dry the pigment in a different grade and create blooms. But for some styles, I like to create exactly these blooms, like in this one. After I have the water splashed across the paper, I go in with the lightest color and dab the pigment lightly onto the edge of the water puddles. The more often you dab the brush in, the more pigment the brush will release into the water puddle. You don't have to blend the colors just yet, because we want the water and pigment to do the magic first on their own. And really, I just dab the color lightly in. I don't touch the paper with the brush, but only the water on it. Then I go in with the next color and do the same as before. I dab the brush with the color only on the water puddles. And honestly guys, this makes so much fun. You can just play with the colors and dab them around where you want the color to be or where you want the colors to mix. And keep in mind that you don't want the middle of the paper to be too dark, because that will be the place where we want to write the quote on. If you want to place a quote on, that is. If not, go in and just have some fun. The watercolor paper I used here isn't that good because, as you can see, it buckles a lot and creates water puddles where we don't want them to be. But it's okay, we still can work around that by removing some excess water with a paper towel. But for the second background, I will use another paper so you can see the difference. By the way, if you like this video so far, feel free to give me a thumbs up. That would make me so happy. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, do that as well to support my little channel. It provides you bi-weekly with a lot of videos about bullet journaling and painting and creative stuff. And that's it for now. While the first background can dry completely, we will do another one. This time I used this Fabriano watercolor paper. It is as well 300 GSM thick, but has only 25% cotton, which I haven't noticed while I bought it, but I still love it anyway. I find that it works so much better than the Canson XL one, and it's hot pressed, so the texture is finer. I had some leftover paper of it, which is almost DIN A4. Last week I made a birthday card in the same style and used these beautiful bright colors. That's actually some pigment from some Caran marker brushes, but you could mix these shades with watercolor again. You don't have to buy the most expensive materials. You can work with what you have at home. For example, you could also use some other Crayolas by putting some pigment on a plastic palette and water it down a bit. That would work as well. Again, I taped it down and put some water on it. This time 3 little puddles to make the spreading easier. And then I tapped again to get this nice splashy look. I took a bit of the excess water in the middle of the page and played again, placing the colors. And for this look, I really love this bright color palette. Don't forget to put some pigment on the tiny little drops around the bigger blob, because they are important for the look of the splash. While this had to dry, I took out my iPad and opened the app Procreate. I used this quote in my latest Boudreaux setup and copied that in. And then I thought about the composition, where and how I wanted to place the words and which words are the most important here. After I had the overall shape, I started with a little sketch how it would look like. I made some words bigger or smaller and traced some because I didn't like the look yet. After I was satisfied with the composition I created, I printed it out. By the way, if you are interested on how to make compositions and overall lettering, please write me in the comments. I'm always curious on what you are interested in. I trimmed the paper and colored the backside with a soft pencil. Then I placed it on the background paper, which now dried completely. And with this tracing tool pen thingy, I traced the words. And traced, and traced, and traced. Even though it takes a while to trace that, it would definitely take me decades to create that by hand. Even if my calligraphy is decent enough, my block lettering, let's say, has a lot of development potential. After that, I took out my STA pigment liner in the size 02 and went over the words. I made some improvements on the letters here and there while tracing and going over with the liner. I filled some words with black and filled the words fatal and counts with dots. And here is the final result of the first composition. I sped up the process on the second because I did the same steps and didn't want to bore you. What do you think of these two? Didn't they turn out beautifully? Which of the ones do you like more? Is the muted one the one you prefer, or rather the one with the bright colors? Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your opinion. And with that, we came to the end of this video. I hope you'll have a colorful day and to see you for my next video. Bye bye!